On this day in history, we remember the remarkable individuals who shaped our world. Welcome to Who Died Today in History, where we honor their legacies. From artists to leaders, their impact lives on. If you find their stories meaningful, like, subscribe, and hit the bell to stay connected.
Thank you to all our amazing channel members for your generous support.
Richard Attenborough, the distinguished British actor, director, and producer, passed away on August 24, 2014 at the age of 90. His death was the result of natural causes, following years of declining health after a fall in 2008 that left him in a wheelchair. Unlike the sudden or violent deaths that often cast a long shadow over public figures, Attenborough's passing felt more like the closing of a chapter, an inevitable moment that invited reflection on a life of remarkable breadth and influence. Attenborough's era was one of profound change, spanning Britain's post-war recovery, the rise of television, and the global expansion of cinema. His death underscored the passing of a generation that believed in art's power to shape social conscience. In front of the camera, he brought charisma and gravity to roles like the eccentric John Hammond in Jurassic Park. But it was behind the camera where his legacy deepened. His direction of Gandhi, 1982, which won 8 Academy Awards including Best Picture, reflected the values of his time, a belief in cinema as both entertainment and moral compass. His passing reminded the world of how artists of his generation used film not only to tell stories, but also to grapple with history, justice, and humanity's capacity for both cruelty and redemption. The immediate response to his death was an outpouring of tributes from across the film industry and beyond. Colleagues praised his warmth and vision, while political leaders acknowledged his contributions to British culture. His death amplified his legend by focusing attention on his humanitarian work, including his presidency of the Royal Academy of Dramatic Art and his advocacy for UNICEF. For many, his passing symbolized the fading of a cinematic era where storytelling and moral weight were deeply intertwined. Reflecting on Attenborough's death reveals how humanity memorializes figures who stand at the crossroads of art and moral purpose. We immortalize him through continued screenings of his films, critical studies of his directing style, and even cultural references that keep his characters alive. His life and death suggest that memory is not only preserved through commemoration, but also through the values embodied in creative work. In Attenborough's case, mortality did not silence his voice, but rather elevated his contributions into timeless reminders of art's role in shaping how we confront power, morality, and history. His death reaffirmed a universal truth, that while life ends, the stories we tell endure, echoing across generations. Arleen Sorkin, the American actress, comedian, and voice artist, passed away on August 24, 2023 at the age of 67. Her death was from complications related to multiple sclerosis and pneumonia, illnesses she had battled privately for years. Unlike sudden or sensational departures, Sorkin's passing was marked by the quiet reality of chronic illness, a reminder of the vulnerability even beloved performers face beyond the spotlight. In an era where celebrity culture often masks human fragility, her death underscored the importance of compassion and awareness for those struggling with long-term health conditions. Sorkin's legacy was inseparable from her pioneering role in shaping one of pop culture's most enduring characters, Harley Quinn. Originally introduced in Batman, the animated series in 1992, Harley was inspired directly by Sorkin's own comedic style and even her performance in a clown costume on Days of Our Lives. Her vibrant, mischievous voice performance helped transform Harley from a one-off sidekick into a cultural icon. In many ways, Harley Quinn mirrored the evolving values of the late 20th century, chaotic, subversive, and fiercely independent. With Sorkin's passing, tributes from fans and colleagues alike highlighted how much of Harley's enduring charm came from her. The immediate consequences of her death reverberated strongly within fan communities and the entertainment industry. Figures such as Mark Hamill, who voiced the Joker alongside her, praised her warmth and talent, while DC Comics acknowledged her foundational role in creating a character who would go on to headline films, comics, and video games. Her death amplified her legend by reminding audiences that behind Harley's global popularity was the originality and humor of one woman. Reflecting on Sorkin's passing reveals much about humanity's relationship with memory and art. Unlike politicians or military leaders, actors often achieve immortality through the characters they breathe life into. In Sorkin's case, every new interpretation of Harley Quinn, whether in Margot Robbie's live-action portrayal or Kaley Cuoco's animated version, carries an echo of her. This illustrates how memory works not only through monuments or biographies, but also through cultural inheritance, where performance becomes part of a collective imagination. Sorkin's death reminds us that while mortality claims every life, the creative spark of an artist can transcend generations. Through laughter, voice, and character, she transformed fragility into legacy, ensuring that her influence endures in the vibrant chaos of Harley Quinn's ongoing story. Jerry Adler, the American actor and theater director best remembered for his role as Herman Hesh Rabkin on The Sopranos, passed away today at the age of 96. His death was from natural causes, a peaceful close to a life that spanned nearly a century, and a career that bridged the golden age of Broadway with the modern era of prestige television. Unlike the violent ends so often portrayed in the mob dramas he helped define, Adler's passing reflected the quieter truth of longevity, a reminder that some legacies are built not through sudden tragedy, but through sustained dedication to craft. Adler's career spoke to the shifting values of American entertainment. Born in 1929, he came of age in an era when Broadway defined cultural sophistication, directing major productions like My Fair Lady. Later, he transitioned to television, appearing in The Sopranos, The Good Wife, and Rescue Me. His presence in The Sopranos was particularly significant. As Hesh, a trusted advisor to Tony Soprano, Adler embodied a character deeply entwined with themes of loyalty, identity, and power, themes that resonated in a post-9/11 America grappling with questions of morality and corruption. The immediate response to his death was one of reverence across both stage and screen communities. Co-stars, critics, and fans praised his versatility and longevity, with many noting how his decades-long career served as a bridge between traditional theater and modern television. His passing did not shift history in the way the loss of a statesman or activist might, but it amplified his legend by crystallizing his contributions at a moment when television continues to be studied as high art. Adler's death underscores humanity's relationship with mortality and memory. While natural deaths may lack the dramatic power of tragedy, they remind us that legacies can be shaped by consistency and dedication. In Adler's case, he is immortalized not only in archived stage directions and recorded performances, but in the enduring cultural impact of The Sopranos, a series often hailed as one of the greatest in television history. Through remembrance in obituaries, tributes, and reruns, Adler's life illustrates how art ensures continuity across generations. Mortality may claim the individual, but performance, frozen in time, ensures that their voice and presence remain part of the collective memory. In this way, Jerry Adler's quiet passing cements his place in the pantheon of performers who helped define American storytelling. Charlie Watts, the legendary drummer of the Rolling Stones, passed away on August 24, 2021, at the age of 80. His death came from natural causes, following health complications that had already forced him to step away from touring. Unlike the chaotic and often self-destructive ends associated with the rock and roll lifestyle, Watts's passing was marked by quiet dignity. In many ways, this contrast reflected the values he embodied throughout his life: discipline, restraint, and an unshakable devotion to his craft. While his bandmates often epitomized the excesses of their era, Watts was the steady heartbeat, on stage and off. The news of his death reverberated around the world, underscoring his importance not only to the Rolling Stones, but also to the very soundscape of modern rock music. Watts had joined the band in 1963 and remained a fixture for nearly 6 decades, his jazz-inspired style grounding the group's electrifying performances. His passing was met with tributes from musicians across genres, from Paul McCartney to Elton John, reflecting a universal acknowledgement that Watts's drumming had become part of rock's DNA. For the Stones themselves, the immediate consequence was profound. Their ongoing tour continued, but without the drummer whose subtle timing and quiet authority had shaped their identity. Watts's death amplified his legend by highlighting the paradox of his role. In a band celebrated for flamboyance, he stood apart as the understated figure, dressed in tailored suits, rarely seeking the spotlight, yet essential to the band's rhythm and endurance. His passing emphasized how rock history is not only written by frontmen, but also by those whose constancy allows the music to thrive. Reflecting on Watts's death invites us to consider humanity's relationship with mortality and memory. His long life and graceful exit counter the narrative of the live fast, die young myth that haunted so many of his contemporaries. Instead, he left behind a model of artistic commitment and personal stability in a genre often defined by chaos. Watts is immortalized through recordings, concert footage, and the continued resonance of the Stones' catalog. His image, quietly smiling behind the drum kit, remains a reminder that sometimes power lies in subtlety, and that memory often preserves not only the loudest voices, but also the steady hands that kept time for an era. Jane Greer, best remembered as the enigmatic femme fatale Kathy Moffat in the 1947 film Out of the Past, passed away on August 24, 2001, at the age of 76. Her death was attributed to natural causes, the quiet conclusion of a life that had once embodied the golden age of Hollywood noir. Unlike the tragic or scandalous ends that befell many of her contemporaries, Greer's passing reflected a graceful exit, one befitting a woman whose career was marked by subtlety and poise rather than excess or turmoil. Greer rose to prominence during the 1940s, an era when Hollywood was shaping post-war identity through archetypes of danger, desire, and moral ambiguity. Her portrayal of Kathy Moffat, a character both alluring and destructive, captured the anxieties of a generation navigating shifting gender roles and the uncertainties of modern life. The fact that Greer lived a relatively private and stable life beyond the screen contrasted sharply with the dangerous allure of her screen persona. Her natural passing underscored this duality, a reminder that the fatal woman of cinema was a construct of the era's imagination, not a destiny written in reality. The immediate response to her death was a wave of appreciation from film historians and classic cinema enthusiasts. Critics revisited Out of the Past and other works, situating Greer as a defining presence in the noir genre. While she had not maintained the high-profile visibility of stars like Lauren Bacall or Rita Hayworth, her performances were rediscovered as essential to the texture of mid-20th century American film. In this sense, her death amplified her legend, not through shock or scandal, but by reminding audiences of the enduring power of her most iconic roles. Greer's departure invites broader reflection on humanity's relationship with mortality and memory. Unlike figures remembered for untimely or sensational deaths, Greer is immortalized through the artistry of her performances, where her expressions and voice continue to echo through time. Her death reveals how art can preserve not only the grand narratives of history, but also the subtler legacies of those who embodied cultural archetypes. Through film festivals, retrospectives, and critical scholarship, Greer remains alive in the cultural imagination, proof that memory immortalizes those who once gave shape to our deepest fears and desires, reminding us that even fleeting roles can leave indelible marks on history. Wyndham Rotunda, better known by his ring name Bray Wyatt, passed away unexpectedly on August 24, 2023, at just 36 years old. His death was the result of a heart attack, complicated by a prior COVID-19 infection that had exacerbated an existing heart condition. Unlike the long-anticipated departures of aging cultural icons, Wyatt's sudden loss struck with the force of tragedy. It reflected not only the physical toll that professional wrestling can exact on its performers, but also the fragility of life, even for those who appear larger than life in the public imagination. Wyatt's career embodied the storytelling power of wrestling in the 21st century. He redefined what it meant to be a character in the ring, blending horror, mythology, and psychological drama into personas like the Eater of Worlds and the Fiend. These creations reflected a cultural appetite for stories that blurred the line between good and evil, hero and monster, echoing both the dark currents of modern entertainment and humanity's age-old fascination with fear and myth. His death at such a young age highlighted the pressures of the wrestling world, where physical strain, relentless schedules, and personal health battles often remain hidden behind the spectacle. The immediate aftermath of Wyatt's passing was marked by an outpouring of grief from fans and colleagues alike. WWE paid tribute with an emotional video package. Wrestlers shared heartfelt stories, and social media lit up with memories of his creativity and kindness. For many, his death amplified his legend, casting his unfinished storylines and eerie promos in a new, haunting light. Much like wrestlers before him whose careers were cut short, such as Eddie Guerrero or Brody Lee, Wyatt's legacy was solidified by the sense of potential left unrealized, making him immortal in the hearts of fans. Wyatt's departure reveals a great deal about humanity's relationship with mortality and memory. We immortalize figures like him not only through official tributes, but also through the personal memories fans carry, the videos replayed, and the art and literature inspired by his characters. Wrestling itself becomes a living memorial as future performers echo his innovations and audiences recall the chills he delivered. In the end, Wyatt's death underscores a universal truth. Even in a world built on scripted drama, mortality is unscripted, and yet through memory, performance, and storytelling, we ensure that such figures never truly leave us. Jay Thomas, an actor, comedian, and radio personality, passed away on August 24, 2017 at the age of 69. His death came after a long battle with throat cancer, a reminder of the silent toll that illness can take even on those who built careers around vibrant voices and humor. Unlike violent or sudden deaths that shocked the world, Thomas's passing reflected a quieter, more personal struggle, one familiar to many in an era where medical advancements prolong life but cannot always shield individuals from the ravages of disease. Thomas carved out a unique niche in American entertainment. He was best known for his witty roles on Cheers and Murphy Brown, and for his annual appearances on The Late Show with David Letterman, where his storytelling became a beloved tradition. His comic timing and ability to connect with audiences reflected the cultural values of late 20th century entertainment, a demand for humor that felt authentic, grounded, and human. That he continued to work and remain active even while privately fighting cancer illustrates the resilience often expected of performers, where the show must go on despite personal challenges. The immediate consequences of his passing were felt most keenly among fans who associated him with joy, humor, and holiday traditions. His annual Christmas story about encountering a Lone Ranger actor had become a pop culture staple, and his death cast that memory in a bittersweet light. Colleagues remembered him not just for his comedic contributions, but also for his warmth and generosity. In many ways, his death amplified his legend by freezing him in time as a storyteller whose humor lives on through reruns and recordings. Thomas's departure underscores the deeply human truth that even those who make us laugh most cannot escape mortality. Yet in memory, laughter becomes a form of immortality. Comedy has long been one of humanity's ways of confronting death, and figures like J. Thomas show how humor can outlast the body. We immortalize such entertainers through rewatching their performances, quoting their jokes, and incorporating their stories into our cultural rituals. His passing reminds us that mortality is inevitable, but memory, carried in laughter, stories, and shared joy, ensures that voices like his continue to echo long after the final curtain falls. Bayard Rustin, a pioneering civil rights activist and strategist, passed away on August 24, 1987, at the age of 75 due to a heart attack, a natural cause reflecting the vulnerabilities even extraordinary individuals face in mortality. Rustin's death came at a time when the civil rights movement he had shaped decades earlier had already transformed American society. Yet his passing marked the quiet departure of a figure whose contributions were often overshadowed due to the political and social prejudices of his era, particularly his identity as an openly gay black man. Rustin's life and death highlight the tensions and challenges of mid-20th century America. Though instrumental in organizing the 1963 March on Washington and mentoring leaders like Martin Luther King Jr., he often had to work behind the scenes, reflecting societal discomfort with his sexuality amidst the era's struggle for civil rights. His death symbolized not just the loss of a strategic mind, but the passing of a generation that had endured both racial and sexual discrimination while advancing transformative social change. The immediate consequences of Rustin's death were subtle yet profound. Leaders and activists mourned the loss of a tactician whose organizational brilliance had enabled pivotal victories, from desegregation campaigns to voter registration drives. Though he never received widespread recognition during his lifetime, posthumous acknowledgement has amplified his legend, reframing him as a foundational figure in both civil rights and LGBTQ+ history. His passing helped catalyze broader conversations about inclusivity and historical narratives, ensuring that future generations understand the intersectionality of social justice work. Rustin's death underscores humanity's complex relationship with mortality, power, and memory. Even when societal recognition is delayed, the impact of a life dedicated to justice can resonate long after death. We immortalize figures like Rustin through history books, documentaries, commemorative events, and educational programs that celebrate both their courage and intellect. Through these acts, society not only honors their achievements, but also grapples with its collective conscience, ensuring that lessons of resilience, strategy, and ethical leadership continue to inspire and guide. Rustin's life and passing remain a testament to the enduring power of dedication and principle in shaping a more equitable world. Jerry Clower, the beloved American comedian known for his folksy storytelling and Southern charm, passed away on August 24, 1998, at the age of 69 due to natural causes, reportedly related to heart disease. Clower's death marked the loss of a figure whose humor reflected both the values and struggles of rural America in the latter half of the 20th century, a time when regional identity and everyday hardships were often overlooked in mainstream media. His passing symbolized the end of an era in which live storytelling and humor provided both solace and a sense of communal identity in an increasingly fast-paced society. Clower's comedy career, which spanned several decades, thrived on his ability to transform everyday Southern life into engaging narratives full of wit, warmth, and moral undertones. He rose to national fame through recordings and radio shows, offering audiences an authentic window into Southern culture. His death elicited widespread mourning, particularly in the South, where fans felt a personal connection to his work. The immediate consequence of his passing was a renewed appreciation for the role of storytelling in American culture, with tributes and retrospectives emphasizing how Clower's humor bridged generational and regional divides. In the broader cultural context, Clower's death amplified his legend. Though he had been celebrated during his lifetime, the posthumous recognition highlighted the subtle social commentary embedded in his humor. By finding laughter in everyday struggles, Clower both entertained and subtly critiqued societal norms, demonstrating how comedy can serve as a vehicle for empathy, reflection, and moral instruction. His passing also highlighted how the entertainment industry often immortalizes figures through recorded performances, radio archives, and televised specials, ensuring that their influence endures long after their deaths. Ultimately, Clower's death reminds us of humanity's complex relationship with mortality, humor, and memory. While he confronted the limitations of life through storytelling, he left a legacy that continues to shape perceptions of Southern culture and American humor. Through books, recordings, and commemorative tributes, society preserves both the laughter and the lessons he offered, illustrating how art, memory, and cultural identity intertwine to immortalize influential figures. His life and passing affirm that even ordinary narratives, when told with insight and heart, can leave an enduring mark on history.